स्टार्ट करो सर. Sir, okay. So import and export under GST. So the today revision topic is import and export. This would be practically very important topic because it almost in important question it may come in the exam and as well as your practical life. So what is the import that you know? Import means physical import of goods means you are bringing the goods in India from a location outside India. ठीक है. And export means you are sending the goods out of India to a place to out of India, from India to out of India. Now, one of my important question to both all of you, you think and tell me whether foreign currency would be required in case of export of the goods or import of the goods. Is it mandatory to bring the realization in the foreign currency to treat the transaction as export or import of goods? मेरा पहला क्वेश्चन है कि मेरा कोई जो ट्रांजेक्शन है अगर वो फॉरेन करेंसी में होगा तभी वो एक्सपोर्ट माना जाएगा क्या? दिस इज माय क्वेश्चन. यू कैन चैट, you can reply in the chat, no problem. When I discuss the levy of the IGST, so again, this particular question, okay, I have received the answer. That answer is no, absolutely correct. No. For export of the goods, it is not mandatory to bring the amount in the foreign currency. If it come in INR, is there any problem? No problem. To treat that transaction as export of the goods, but the problem would come if you have taken the refund. The problem would come if you have taken the refund. In case of the refund, the next chapter would be the refund. In the refund chapter, we will discuss in detail. In the refund chapter, we will discuss in detail. If you have not bring the foreign currency, if you have not bring the foreign currency within the time limit as per the FEMA, then it says that you need to pay back the amount of the refund which you have taken. So that we will discuss in the refund chapter. Now, section 5, subsection 1 says that subject to the provision of subsection 2, there shall be levied a tax called IGST on all interstate supply, except on alcoholic liquor for human consumption. And you can see that this is bold and highlighted, means it is an amendment. Undenatured ENA, extra neutral alcohol or ratified spirit used for the manufacturing of alcoholic liquor for human consumption. Meaning thereby that GST would not be levied on alcoholic liquor plus ethyl neutral alcohol, extra neutral alcohol. Why this? If you see कि ENA was subject to GST, it is later on added in the levy of the GST and they have excluded in the spirit of federal system. Federal, we all know that we are federal system and we have adopted the GST which is divided between center and state, correct? Now, on the value determined under section 15 of CGST and the rate not exceeding 40%. So maximum rate could be 40% as may be notified by the government. And proviso to the 5 subsection 1 says that IGST on goods shall be levied and collected in accordance with the provision of Section 3 of Custom Tariff Act. Now they are saying other than the goods as may be notified by the government of India. Why they have excluded? Can you tell me the transaction or the goods which has been notified in this category other than? क्या आप मुझे एक एग्जांपल दे सकते हैं कि कौन से गुड्स कस्टम के अकॉर्डिंग टैक्सेबिलिटी नहीं होंगे? इंपोर्ट ऑफ गुड्स आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट. द आंसर इज ENA. No. Answer is online money gaming. Online money gaming, in the previous chapter we have discussed that online money gaming is goods, and if it is imported into India, that will not be through custom. Correct? Now that will not be through custom. So in that case, they are saying other than the goods as may be notified by the government of India on the recommendation of the council. So online money gaming will be taxable. Online money gaming will be taxable not through custom. It will be taxable as per the GST provisions. Now it says that interstate supply. We have already discussed in the place of the supply chapter. What are the two elements we are looking to the transaction to say that it is interstate? First is location of supplier, and second is place of supply. So if both are in one state, then it is called intra. If both are in separate state or two separate union territory or one state, one union territory, then it is called as interstate supply. And 7 subsection 2 says that supply of the goods imported into the territory of India till the cross custom frontier of India shall be treated to the interstate supply. Correct? Now, section 11 says the place of the supply of the goods imported into India or exported from India will be calculated in accordance with section 11. And what is the 11? What is the 11? If you remember, can you tell me what is the place of supply in case of import of the goods and what is place of the supply in case of export of the goods? Currently, I am talking about only goods. If I am importing the goods into India, what would be the place of the supply? Location of importer. If I am exporting the goods, then if I'm exporting the goods, then what would be the place of the supply? Location outside India. Correct? Absolutely correct answer you have given. Levy of the custom duty, section 12 of the Custom Act, except as otherwise provided in this act or any other law for the timing in force. Duties of the custom shall be levied at such rate as may be specified under the Custom Tariff Act or any other law for the timing in force on goods imported into or exported from India. The provision shall apply in respect of all goods belonging to the government as they apply in respect of the goods not belonging to the government. Provision for collection of IGST on import of goods and warehouse goods sold from a custom warehouse, as also for determination of their value under section 3. So 3 subsection 7 says that any article which is imported into India liable to integrated tax at such rate not exceeding 40%, as it is leviable under section 5 of IGST. ठीक है, or a like article in the supply of the goods on the value imported article as may be determined in 8 and 8A. What is the subsection 8? For the purpose of calculating IGST on any imported article where such tax is leviable at any percentage of its value of imported article, notwithstanding anything contained in section 14, be the aggregate of value of the imported article determined under section 14 subsection 1 or the tariff value of such article fixed under subsection 2, and the duties of the custom chargeable on that article under section 12, and any sum chargeable on that article under any law for the time being in force. 3 subsection 8 says where the goods deposited in a warehouse under the provision of custom are sold to any person before clearance of home consumption or exported, the value of such goods for the purpose of calculating the IGST under subsection 7 shall be the value the whole of the goods are sold, where the value of the complete goods are sold, the value determined under subsection 8, or the transaction value, whichever is higher. And second, any part of the goods sold, the proportionate value of the such goods as determined under subsection 8, whichever is higher, or the transaction value, whichever is higher. Provided that where the whole of the goods or any part thereof are sold more than once before such clearance for home consumption, transaction value of the last such transaction shall be transaction value for the purpose of clause A and the clause B. Okay. Provided that in respect of warehouse goods which remain unsold, the value or the proportionate value, as the case may be, shall be determined in accordance with the provision of subsection 8. For the purpose of this subsection, the expression transaction value in relation to the warehouse goods means the amount paid or payable. Last 3 subsection 11 of the custom, duties of the tax or the cess, as the case may be, chargeable under this section shall be in addition to any other duty, duty, tax or cess imposed under this act or under any other law. Now we are talking about a specified actionable claim. Section 14 is with respect to the online information database access retrieval services, and 14 capital A is specified actionable claim. What is the provision which it contains? Let's discuss. Supplier of online money gaming, where the word online money gaming has been defined, it has been defined in section 2 clause 80B of CGST. Not located in the taxable territory means supplier is located outside India. Shall, in respect of the supply of the online gaming by him to a person in the taxable territory, be liable to pay IGST on that supply. So if the supplier is located out of India and recipient is in India, see, try to understand, person in the taxable territory be liable to pay IGST. So liability to pay the IGST would always be on the supplier who is located outside India. For the purpose of complying with the provision of subsection 1, the supplier shall obtain the single registration under the simplified registration scheme referred to in section 14 subsection 2. Section 14 is applicable to the OIDAR, correct? Online Information Database Access Retrieval. Can you please tell me when OIDAR would require to take registration mandatorily in India? If OIDAR is located out of India, is required to take mandatory registration under this particular single registration when he is required. If he provide to any person in India, absolutely correct, when the recipient is NTOR. So now you will use the word NTOR because why I am saying so? Because one category of the registration is also covered in this, and if OIDAR provide the service to the TDS category of the registered person, then also the liability would be shifted to the OIDAR. So therefore, only because of one category, the TDS under GST is included. Therefore, you should use the word NTOR, non-taxable online recipient. Rest all the category would be if the recipient is unregistered. So what is the difference? The difference is if OIDAR service is there, then we will look, the recipient should be NTOR. And if it is online money gaming, then we will look into the recipient should be in India, whether it is registered or not registered. In both the cases, the liability to pay the tax is on the supplier located out of India. Okay. So again, they are saying that if the person who is the representative in India, he is responsible and he does not have any physical presence and does not have any representative, then they will appoint one person. Subsection 3, in case of any failure to comply with the provision above, the supplier, notwithstanding anything contained in Information Technology Act, any information generated, transmitted, received, or hosted in any computer resources shall be liable to be blocked. So they are saying whatever they have used the technology, that will be blocked for access by the public. And that is the problem, because if their site would be blocked, then it will hamper large, correct? It will hamper a lot. Therefore, they are saying if you are doing the non-compliance, then your site will be blocked. Analysis. So that is okay. Let me move to the important part. Value of the living IGST on import of the goods. Value determined under section 14 plus basic custom duty plus any other sum as custom duties excluding ICS, and on that we will add the GST. You all know that why we are adding the custom duties also and any other cess also for the purpose of levying IGST. Why we are adding? Even we are adding tax on tax. Don't you think we are adding the tax on tax? I'm requesting everyone to give the response. So why we are adding tax on tax? Because section 15 says 15 subsection 2 clause A of CGST Act says that you will add all taxes, duties and cess leviable under any other law other than GST. So whenever we will charge GST, if there is any taxes other than GST, that would be added. Will it be custom duty? Will it be excise duty? Will it be social welfare cess? Whatever. Everything would be added on the total value we will charge the GST. ठीक है, that is okay, whichever is that we have discussed. So whether goods which has been sold during the high seas, will the GST be leviable? If the goods are sold during the high seas, will the GST be leviable? The answer is no, because absolutely correctly told that it is covered in the Schedule 3. Schedule 3 means the supply which are neither treated. So I can say the negative list, neither supply of the goods nor supply of service. Correct? So those transaction will be out of GST. And again, I request everyone, Please try to give the answer. What is the impact of Schedule 3 on ITC reversal? What is the impact of Schedule 3 on ITC reversal? Okay. So Schedule 3, any item which you can recall? Hmm. So what is the impact of Schedule 3 on reversal of ITC? One is para 5, sale of land and completed building. And second is sale of warehouse goods before filing the bill of entry for home consumption. So goods were lying in the bonded warehouse, and I was, before filing the bill of entry, I have sold those goods, then it attract reversal. It is covered in the para 8A, therefore there is no GST on that supply. But if there is any ITC, I need to reverse as per the rule 4243. Very nice, Indra. Very nice. So you please participate also in all the question if you can. It would be better for doing the interaction. Similarly, I can say the third country shipment. Third country shipment means I have purchased the goods from UK and directly sold to the USA without being physically coming in India. Then it is again covered in the Schedule 3. And this third party, third country shipment, triangle trade is a common trade practice, and therefore, and it is covered in the Schedule 3, and therefore it is out of GST, no reversal required. Yes, taxability of the goods imported by the SEZ unit. As per Section 3, subsection 7 of the Custom and Wide Notification, goods imported by the SEZ unit or developer for authorized operation are exempted from IGST. And what about export-oriented unit? Goods imported by the export-oriented unit attract liability to custom duty. Imported by export EOU. Import of the goods by 100% EOU are governed by this notification. EOU are allowed free import of goods under the said notification. However, the exemption will be upon fulfillment of the specified condition. You please give the answer of my two questions. If I'm registered in India, in the domestic, and I am making the supply to EOU, and if I am making the supply to SEZ, so transaction number 1, if I am making the supply to the EOU, then this transaction would be called as. Second question, if I'm making that supply to the SEZ, then what we will say to this transaction? My two question, if I am making the supply to the EOU and if I am making to the SEZ unit or developer. So what would be the nomenclature, or what would be this transaction called if I'm making the supply to EOU? Question number 1. And if I'm making the supply to the SEZ, question number 2. It will helpful in the next chapter, that is refund. Okay, so one participant has given the answer. Any other answer? Absolutely. Samyanathan has given the right answer for this, and Geeta has given the right answer for this. Samyanathan, what would be the second transaction? And Geeta, what would be the first transaction? And again, to all rest of the participant, I'm requesting to please give the answer. फर्स्ट ट्रांजेक्शन को मैं क्या कहूंगा एंड सेकंड ट्रांजेक्शन को मैं क्या कहूंगा. If I'm making the supply to the EOU, then what would be the name? And if I'm making the supply to that particular SEZ, then what would be the name? That's it. First. Okay. First transaction is called as deemed export. If you refer the definition of deemed export given in the section 147, then if I'm making the supply to the four categories of the transactions are covered in that notification issued in the section 147, it will be called as deemed export. And what is the second transaction? Zero rated supply. Okay. So it is not considered as like inverted duty structure, etc. And ठीक है, so चलो proceed करते हैं. Let's proceed. Import as baggage, passenger baggage is exempted. The basic custom duty 35% and applicable social welfare cess is leviable. Taxability of the supply of the online money gaming by a person located outside India in the taxable territory to a person in India. Section 14, capital A. Now let's. Online money gaming is nothing but the specified actionable claim. And if you go to the Schedule 3, Para 6, it says that actionable claim are excluded. Actionable claim are not leviable to GST, but other than specified actionable claim. What does it mean? So, which I'm giving option A, actionable claim, I'm giving option 2, specified actionable claim. Can you please tell me which is covered in the Schedule 3, serial number 1, or which is covered or which is leviable to GST? I should say which is leviable to GST, option 1 or option 2? किस ट्रांजेक्शन पर जीएसटी एप्लीकेबल होगा, 1 पे कि 2 पे? The answer is absolutely correct. The answer is 2. Specified actionable claim. Example, you have correctly answered, Geeta. Lottery, betting, gambling, horse racing, online money gaming, casino. These are covered under the specified actionable claim. Now, when a person located in India receive the online money gaming from a person located outside India, the supplier is liable to pay IGST. Okay. For this purpose, he will take the single registration under the simplified scheme. Further, they need to furnish the return in GSTR 5A. Okay. If the overseas supplier has a representative in India for the any purpose, such person shall get registered and pay the IGST on behalf of the supplier. In case the overseas supplier has not physical presence and also not any representative, then they will appoint one person. Correct. So now import of service. In case of import of the goods, and if I say import of service, can you tell me what is the difference between import of goods and import of service? As per the definition only, I'm asking. What is the difference between import of the goods and import of service as per the definition given in the GST law? Do you able to recall that condition associated with import of service? Okay, fine. Okay. So I can say there is only one condition with respect to import of the goods, that physical movement from out of India to India. That's it. But if I will talk about that, there are three conditions for import of service. Now you please tell me to what extent you can tell me whether all three, one, two. If any one condition, it's okay. But what are the condition for import of service? The one condition is with respect to LOS, one condition is with respect to LOR, one condition is with respect to POS. Let me help you in this way. Now you tell me the location of supply should be, the supplier should be located outside India. Oh, very nice, very nice. You have already told all the conditions, Geeta. Thank you very much. And LOR should be located, LOR should be located in India. And place of the supply should be India ki outside India. Place of the supply should be India ki outside India. The place of the supply should be India. And this place of the supply would be determined according to which section? इस place of supply का जो determination होगा, it will be by which section? Absolutely correct, Indra, and yes, section 13. Section 13 of IGST Act. Why section 13 would be applied? Because it says that anyone is outside India. So in this example, import, the supplier is located out of India and recipient is located in India. So for determination or for application of section 13, any one party should be outside India and one party is in India. So in case of import as well as in case of export, we will use the section 13 to determine the POS. Now, as per para 4 of the schedule 1, that import of service, what is the schedule 1? Can anybody tell me? Schedule 1 क्या चीज के लिए यूज होता है? What is the schedule 1? Saminathan, Indra, and Geeta. What is the schedule 1? Schedule 1 is supply without consideration. Absolutely correct, Indra. So supply without consideration. So it means even if there is no consideration, it can be treated as supply. So para 4 is with respect to import of service. And please note, earlier it was written as by a taxable person and word taxable has been removed. I'm talking about that amendment by the first Finance Act 2019. Now they are saying import of service by a person from related or from any of his other establishment outside India in the course of furtherance of business. Okay. Section 5, subsection 1, I am not reading. We have already discussed. 5.3 we have now. 5.3. 5.3 says the government on the recommendation of the council by notification specify the categories of goods or service or both the tax on which shall be paid under reverse charge basis by the recipient, and all the provision of this act shall apply to the recipient as if he is the person liable to pay the tax. Okay. And 5 subsection 5 says the government on the recommendation of the council, the tax on interstate supply shall be paid by the ECO if such services are supplied through it, and all the provisions shall apply to such ECO as if he is supply liable to pay the tax. Now, one example, any one example. Kindly quote one example, the services which are covered in the 5 subsection 5. Very nice. Oh my God. Everything you've given. Very nice. Thank you so much for your participation. First is the transportation service. Example, you can say Ola Uber. Second is housekeeping, plumbing, carpenting services, like you can say Urban Club. Third, you can say the restaurant service like Swiggy, Zomato. Fourth, you can say like rooms, MMT, OYO, etc. Hotels, accommodation. And one transaction, tell me one transaction, if the supplier is the private limited, is a private company, is the company, not private or public. If it is a company, then it will not covered in the 5 subsection 5. Tell me, what is that transaction? Matlab, ideally it is covered, but if the supplier is the body corporate, then it is not covered. What is that transaction? Anyone have any idea? No, no problem. So you read 5 subsection 5 or 9 subsection 5 and you will find that answer. And I already covered. Okay. So it is also same proviso. If the ECU are located out of India, then they will appoint if they have the physical presence, then no problem. If they have representative, no problem. If they do not have the physical presence and do not have the representative, then they will appoint one person. Okay, it is exactly same. Now, can anybody tell me that 5 subsection 5 they've used the word interstate supply? Does it mean that only interstate supplies are taxable in this ambit? If the supplies are intrastate, then it is not taxable in the deemed supply of through ECO. Agar Zomato locally supply karta, then Zomato is not taxable. Zomato would be liable to pay the tax only if it is doing the interstate. Does that mean? मेरा क्वेश्चन है, यहाँ पे वर्ड इंटरस्टेट लिखा है, तो जो भी हमने एग्जाम्पल का बात किया, वट एवर वी हैव डिस्कस द एग्जाम्पल, will they be taxable only if it is inter? And had it be intra, then they would not be taxable under this deeming provision of 5 subsection 5. Any clue? This is a most common question, I can say. Okay, no. What is the reason? What is the reason then? Fine. You are saying I'm agreeing. Now, my next question, what would be the reason? Because they've used the word inter only. What would be your counter argument? Very nice, very nice, very nice. Because section 5 we are reading, it is IGST. So you will read similar provision in the CGST. That is 9 subsection 5. If you will read the 9 subsection 5, you will find and you will see the word intra. Okay. Thank you. 7 subsection 4, supply the service imported into India shall be treated as interstate commerce. Supply of the territorial water. Supplies in the territorial water. It says that where the location of the supplier is in the territorial water, where the place of the supply is in the territorial water shall for the purpose be deemed to be the coastal state or UT where the nearest point of the appropriate baseline is located. तो अगर उनका टेरिटोरियल वाटर में आता है तो वो लोकेशन ऑफ सप्लायर या प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई क्या माना जाएगा? इट विल बी ट्रीटेड द नियरेस्ट, जो भी अप्रोप्रिएट बेस्ड पॉइंट है उसके पास में जो भी है कोस्टल स्टेट या यूनियन टेरिटरी, दैट विल बी ट्रीटेड एज लोकेशन ऑफ सप्लायर और प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई. And as we have already discussed that section 13 would be applied to determine the POS and 14 OIDAR, online information database access retrieval. What is that? Of on supplies of the OIDAR. Now, in short, I will use the word OIDAR. What is the meaning of OIDAR? You all know that online information database access retrieval service. On supply of the online information database access retrieval services by any person. How many of us? Correct. So if I have asked the question and Geeta has checked. Fine, very nice. If the omnibus is given by the body corporate, then it will not covered because earlier it was covered in the transportation services. Now, if the omnibus, suppose I'm a private limited company and I have the bus, I have given you rent through ECO. Then who will pay the tax? I will pay the tax. That ECO, e-commerce operator, Ola, Uber, Oyo, Ola, Uber, they will not be liable under 5 subsection 5 or 9 subsection 5. Thank you. Supply of online information database access retrieval services by any person located in the non-taxable territory and received by the NTOR. NTOR. Always remember this word. The supplier located in the non-taxable territory liable for paying IGST. Provided that in case of the supply, again, same person. In case of the supply of online information and database access retrieval service by any person located in the non-taxable territory and received by the non-taxable online recipient, an intermediary located in the non-taxable online recipient who arrange or facilitate, then shall be deemed to be the recipient of that service when such intermediary satisfied the following condition. तो अगर कोई intermediary है तो intermediary will be considered as deemed recipient if the invoice or customer's bill or receipt issued or made available by such intermediary taking part in the supply clearly identify the service. Intermediary involved in the supply does not authorize the charge on the custom or take part in its charge, which is that intermediary neither collect or process. The intermediary involved in the supply does not authorize delivery, and the general terms and conditions are not set by the intermediary. The supplier of online information and database access retrieval services referred to in subsection 1 shall, for payment of IGST, take a single registration. I will not repeat because again, if there is a physical presence, then they have to, a representative would be means liable, and if they do not have any representative, then they will appoint one person. Okay? That is the whole part. This business test I have discussed in the earlier chapter. Import of service, there are 3 conditions which you have discussed. The supplier should be located outside India, recipient should be located in India, and place of the supply should be in India. That is okay. So that was a landmark judgment in case of Mohit Mineral. What was happened in case of Mohit Mineral? Just short, I'll tell you. So earlier there was a levy that in case of ocean freight, what is that ocean freight? So suppose I am supplier of the goods located in outside India and you are importer. You are purchasing the goods and my terms is like everything is being included. So I will supply the goods. I am also responsible for insurance. I am also responsible for freight. And you are paying the combined amount to me. Now the problem is, in case of the CIF, I will raise the bill and you need to pay the tax as IGST on import of the goods. Additionally, you need to pay the tax on ocean freight under reverse charge. You need to pay IGST on ocean freight as import of service under reverse charge. The matter went to the High Court and then finally it went to the Supreme Court in case of the Mohit Minder. And Honorable Supreme Court says that if the goods has been sold and it is also liable for ancillary item like insurance freight, then you are levying the tax as per the concept of Section 8, that is composite supply. So what is the taxability in case of composite supply? Section 8 says that it the principal item, whatever the tax rate applicable, it will be applicable on whole value. Then they have set aside this RCM entry which talks about ocean freight under RCM. So they are saying that importer is liable to pay IGST on composite supply comprising the goods, transportation, and insurance on CIF contract. Then separate levy by shipping line would be the violation of Section 8 and would tantamount to the double taxation. Hence, there cannot be the separate levy if it is a CIF contract. In case of importation of OIDAR service by NTOR, then we have discussed the supplier of OIDAR would be liable to pay the GST under forward charge. And if the recipient is registered, then RCM would be applicable. So exemption we have already discussed in the exemption chapter. Importation of OIDAR service we have discussed. So this particular they have given the examples on OIDAR category. PDF document automatically emailed. What are the conditions? They are saying service whose delivery is mediated by information technology and are impossible to ensure in the absence of information technology. Okay. So they are saying if both conditions are satisfied, then it is an OIDAR, otherwise not OIDAR. Okay. So they've given the list, certain list has been given. Again, it is clarified, it is not exhaustive. It is inclusive list, correct? They have given some example: website hosting, web page hosting, automated online and distance maintenance of the program, remote system, online data warehouse, where specific data, online supply the on-demand disk space, supply the software and updating thereof, supply the image, text, and information making available of database, accessing or downloading desktop theme, accessing or downloading photographic or pictorial image, the digital content of the book, subscription of online newspaper and journal, weblog, official news, etc. Music, they've given some example, or that subsection 5 we have discussed. Registration and ITC in case of import of goods and service. Okay. So registration for import of the goods, whether reverse charge is applicable, it is not. Reverse charges does not cover import of the goods. Importer also not listed in the section 24. Therefore, it is not mandatory for importer who was registered under. So it may be noted here that it is mandatory for importer who are registered, then quote GSTIN, so that they are enabled to take input tax credit. Importer of exempted goods, section 23 clearly says that if you are exclusively engaged in the supply of the goods, then it is neither, so that is either not taxable or wholly exempted from GST, are not required to take registration. In such case, PAN of the importer and exporter would suffice. Import of service under RCM mandatory registration. ITC on import goods, because the word definition of input goods in relation to the registered person, they says that IGST paid on import of the goods can be available for ITC. ITC on import of service. Now we are moving to the export. Let's take a small break of 7-8 minutes and we will resume at 8 o'clock and then we will discuss the export chapter. Export part of this chapter. Sir, 10 minutes. Now I will use a PPT for the balanced discussion. Export of service, there are 5 conditions. But import of service, as we discussed, only 3 conditions. For export of the goods, only 1 condition, means taking out of India from a place to a place outside India. अगर मैं सर्विस की बात करता हूं तो देयर आर 5 कंडीशन. LOS in India and LOR is outside India. Place of the supply should be out of India. Payment should come in the foreign currency. And from 1 Feb 2019, it can come in INR wherever permitted by Reserve Bank of India. And then relationship should be distinct person. Supplier and recipient are not merely establishment of distinct person in accordance with explanation 1 to section 8. Now, what is the explanation 1 to section 8? That is really important. So we will discuss with the help of one circular. So again, we know that export can be made on payment of IGST or without payment of IGST. If we are making the if we are doing the export without payment of IGST, then LUT or bond is mandatory. A letter of undertaking or bond is mandatory. Correct. So then what is the zero rated supply? So zero rated supply means a registered person. First, what is the zero rated supply? Section 16 subsection will talk about the word zero rated supply. And what is the meaning of zero rated supply? Zero rated supply means one is export and one is supply to SEZ unit or developer for authorized operation. ये ध्यान रखना, ये word for authorized operation, now it is being mandatory in the definition part itself. Earlier, it is covered, but it was covered in the refund chapter. But that is not covered in the definition of the zero rated supply, but now they have covered in the definition of zero rated supplies. Okay. So section 16(3) says the person who is making the zero rated supplies are entitled to claim the refund of unutilized ITC in accordance with section 54. So when we will move to the section 54, then we will discuss in detail this part. Okay. 16(3) says in case of the non-realization of the sale proceeds. See what I was talking about. I was saying that in case of export of goods, the foreign currency is not mandatory. Am I right? But now it says that non-realization of sale proceed, then is it mandatory? Remember clearly that to treat that transaction as export of the goods, no problem. In any mode you are receiving the amount. But if the ultimately you like to take the refund of either taxes paid or accumulated ITC, then 16(3) ka proviso says you should bring the foreign currency as per the time limit in the FEMA. If you does not bring the foreign currency and you've taken the refund, then you need to pay back that refund within 30 days. Okay. And again, whenever in future the amount is being realized, then you can take the refund back. 16(4) says that government on the recommendation of the council and subject to condition, a class of the person who may make the zero rated supplies on payment of IGST and claim the refund of taxes so paid, a class of the goods and services which may be exported on payment of IGST and the supplier may be claimed the refund of taxes so paid. First circular 78, they are saying in case of the export of service, outsource a portion. See what happened in this case. I am Indian party and you are outside India. You have outsourced one contract to me, let's say $100. Now, I have further done the subcontracting of that work. You have given the work of, let's say, software development of $100. I have outsourced the $40 ka work to, let's say, New York. Now I am raising the bill of 100. But when you are sending the amount to me, I am requesting that please send $60 to me, $40 directly to the New York. So in that case, against my $100, full consideration is not received in this case, then will it be treated as export of service $100, or will it be to the extent of the amount received in the foreign currency? Then they are saying even if the full consideration as per the contract value is not received, as the recipient of the service located outside India has directly paid to the supplier located outside India. So इस case में कोई problem नहीं है. I would be entitled for entire $100 even if I am receiving the balance amount only. However, they are saying that IGST has been paid on the import of service because I am also receiving the service from that New York party. Then I should ensure that I have paid the IGST under RCM, and RBI guideline instruction or specific approval has allowed that. They've given the example, you can read. Second, export of service. Now I am giving two examples and there is a difference. In example number 1, I'm saying I am in India and you are located out of India. Okay. And what am I? I am the branch office or the representative office or agency office in India of yours. And you have given some work to me and I have completed that work to you and raised the bill for which you are giving the amount in the foreign currency. Second example, that I have separately incorporated in India as subsidiary company. I have registered in India under Companies Act as private limited company and you are owning the shares. So I am the subsidiary and now you are giving the work to me. I am completing and also raising the invoice and you are giving the amount in the foreign currency. The problem was the fifth condition. What was the fifth condition? The problem was the fifth condition. Will the fifth condition in this case be considered as satisfied or not? What is the fifth condition? Let me read. The supplier and the recipient are not merely establishment of a distinct person in accordance with explanation 1 to section 8. तो इस केस में क्या होगा? Then let me conclude. Explanation 1 says that for the purpose of this act, the establishment in India and establishment outside India shall be treated as establishment of distinct person. They are saying, explanation 1 says that if you have the establishment in India and establishment outside India, it will be treated as establishment of distinct person. So in this case, in both the example, will it be the establishment? Explanation 2 has clarified this. A person carrying the business through branch, agency, or the representational office, then they will be treated as an establishment in that territory. What does it mean? If I am doing the business in 3 capacity, then only you will consider me as establishment in India and establishment outside India. And both are treated as establishment of distinct person. And if you are the establishment of distinct person, then what would be your answer? Will it be export or will it not be export? If you are establishment of foreign entity, then will it be export or will it not be export? Give me the answer. Answer is yes. It will not be the export. It will not be the export. So if I am doing the business in India in the capacity of the branch or agency or the representational office of the foreign company, then I am considered as establishment of distinct person. And go back and read the fifth condition. You should not the establishment of distinct person. So first example, I am the establishment of distinct person, therefore it is not considered as export. And what about second example? They have clarified by circular. They are saying that in this case, circular 161 has been issued. They are saying that if you are working as a subsidiary company, no problem. You are continued to be treated as a separate person. It will not be it will not be covered in the fifth condition. So your transaction would be export of service. Okay. One more example. Now the branch office. So again, you have given the answer that branch office will not be export of service. So can it be export of service? Answer is no. Why answer is no? Because explanation 2 of section 8 says that branch, agency or the representation in India will be treated as establishment in India. And because they are establishment in India, then they are treated as an establishment of distinct person. And because they are establishment of distinct person, section 8, explanation 1, therefore, the fifth condition is not satisfied and it is not export. Now the question is, will they require to pay the IGST in that case? What do you think? In that case, because it is not export, so do they need to pay the IGST? Do they need to pay the IGST? Just tell me. Prima facie, it appears that they need to pay the IGST, but again, I like to highlight one entry of the exemption notification, which says that service supplied by an establishment in India to any establishment outside India shall be treated as an establishment of distinct person in accordance with explanation 1 to section 8. It will be exempted by this entry. So therefore, no GST. Now tell me one thing, very important question. If my service was export, then also I'm not required to pay the GST because I can take the refund or I can file LUT. Now, in this example, again, it is not my export, but they have given the exemption. So again, I am not required to pay the GST. So what is the difference had it be export or had it be exempted? I feel both are same because there is no tax obligation. What do you think? मेरा मानना ये है कि अगर आपने इसको एक्सपोर्ट मान लिया होता, then you will say कि that you can file LUT not to pay GST again. And मैं कहता हूं कि आपने एक्सपोर्ट नहीं माना, but you are saying कि that you are exempted, then also I'm not required to pay the GST. What is the difference then? There is no difference. Then there is no difference. What do you think? Give me the answer. Reversal of ITC as per rule 40 to 43 will come into the picture because of this exemption. If your outward supply is exempted, then you need to reverse the ITC. But if outward supply is zero rated, it is considered as taxable and therefore no reversal is required. Okay. Deemed export, as already told, that deemed export, there are the four categories of the transaction which are considered as deemed export: supply against advance authorization, supply against export from EPCG license, EOU, and supply of the gold by bank or PSU against advance authorization. Merchant export, what is the merchant export? Now let's see that A is making the supply to B. A is located in Delhi, B is located in Mumbai. It is a domestic supply, correct? And when B is making the supply to the John USA, then whether A to B is considered as deemed export, whether A to B is considered as deemed export, because B is exporting the this supply directly to out of India. So A to B is deemed export. Answer is no. Why no? Because just now we have discussed that deemed export are only four transactions. If you are making the supply against advance authorization, EPCG license, EOU, or gold or buy bank or PSU. It is not that. Then it is a normal B2B transaction. Nothing to do with the export. But there is a one notification which talks about the person who is the exporter in this case. In this case, who is exporter? B or A? Who is exporter in this case? The answer is B. Correct. Answer is B. The notification is saying that when A will comply, A and B jointly will comply the condition of that notification, then A will raise the invoice by charging the GST at 0.1% only. Why they bring this notification? Why they bring this notification? So that B's working capital would be very minimal amount. The minimal amount of tax ITC would be blocked off exporter. That was the main object. It was given in the 2017 when the refund of the export was slightly longer process. Okay. So when A make the supply to B and B make the supply to you out of India, B is exporter, will also be called as merchant exporter if all the conditions are satisfied. What are the conditions? Condition you can read in detail, but in short, I can explain, and later on you can read in detail. B shall place the purchase order to A for purchase of the goods at subsidization. This copy of the purchase order to be deposited to A and A's tax officer. A का जो भी ऑफिसर होगा उसको जमा होगा. I am writing the PO, proper officer. A will sell the goods on the basis of tax invoice. When B will export the same, it will be exported within the time limit, and B will quote that GSTIN and the invoice number on the shipping bill or bill of export. Once the goods are exported, then B will again deposit that shipping bill to A as well as A ka proper officer. They are only engaged in the trading. They should not do the manufacturing. And if they like to do the aggregation, say for example, B is purchasing from A, from X, from Y, from Z, and he like to aggregate, just like to aggregate. In that case, he can do on the bonded warehouse. And at that time, we need to take the acknowledgement on the tax invoice that yes, aggregation work is done. And then copy of that acknowledgement would be given to A and A's ka tax office. These are the conditions which I have told in short, but you can read in detail. Okay, these are the conditions. Now, 96A, Rule 96A says that you can furnish the letter of undertaking if your supply is zero rated. Whether deemed export, can we file the letter of undertaking? In case of the deemed export, can we file the letter of undertaking? The answer is no. Because letter of undertaking is only for the zero rated supply. And what are the zero rated supplies? One is export and one is sedge for authorized operation. Correct. Now, what is the bond? What is the letter of undertaking? So letter of undertaking is online process. It is a submission or undertaking that if I could not do the export within 90 days, 3 months, or if I could not bring the foreign currency within the time limit as per the FEMA, that is 15 months, 1 year, sorry. In case of services, I need to bring the foreign currency within 1 year. If this time limit is expired, then I will deposit the tax within the 15 days, within the expiry of the 15 days. क्या मतलब हुआ? I am giving the undertaking to the government that I will do the export within 90 days, or I will do that particular realization of the foreign currency within the time limit. And if I will not be able to fulfill that obligation, then I will pay the GST. And subsequently, I can take the refund. Okay. So then there was a circular 197 for Rule 96 capital A sub Rule 1. It says that so there was a problem. What was the problem? So if they could not do the export within 90 days, let's say they are doing the export after that days, or they are realizing the foreign currency later on, then they have to pay the tax along with interest on the expiry of the 15 days. And once the 15 days is expired, they will pay the tax along with interest. And subsequently, when the foreign currency is realized, or when the goods are actually exported, they can take the refund back. But while taking the refund back, they can take only the tax component, not the interest. So fine. There was a circular 108 which talks about that if I am sending the goods out of India for exhibition or consignment basis for promotion, how to send the goods? Will it be supply? Will it be zero rated supply? Will the refund be admissible? Do I need to file the LUT? These are the questions which has been answered in that circular. It simply says, again, I'm telling the crux. It simply says that when you are sending the goods out of India for exhibition purpose or for promotion purpose, then it is not a supply at all because it is without consideration. And if it is without consideration, it is not a supply except Schedule 1. This export, promotion, or exhibition is not covered in the Schedule 1. Therefore, it is not a supply. Because it is not a supply, therefore, it is not a zero rated supply. And the question of paying the tax at the time of sending the goods will not arise. You can send on the basis of the delivery chiller. They have given the format also. You need to fill this format and submit to the authority. Further, they are saying that if you have sent the goods to out of India for exhibition or consignment or promotion basis, and goods has not come back within 6 months or not made supplied within 6 months, then it will be treated as deemed supply as per section 31 subsection 7. Remember 31 subsection, sales on approval, you can send for 6 months. If the time limit is being expired, then you need to treat as deemed supply. Then they are saying whether I can take the refund. Yes, they are saying if all other condition satisfied in accordance with section 51, you are eligible to take the refund. The last point they are saying that do I need to file the LUT? Again, they are saying it is clarified that sender can prefer the refund claim even when the specified goods were sent back or taken out of India without execution of the bond or LUT, if all the condition of 54.3 or Rule 89 has been satisfied. This is all about of export. So from my side, the export chapter is completed. Now let's move to the refund chapter. So we will be able to understand the refund. In short, we will do the same discussion, and last 10 minutes we will do the quick round of the revision question answer. Okay, as usually we are doing. Just allow me 1 minute. Okay. So take a break of sir 3 minutes, 2-3 minutes. Sir 2-3 मिनट का ब्रेक स्टार्ट कर दीजिए एंड देन आई विल रिज्यूम. Section 54 का explanation says that refund means refund of the tax on the zero rated supplies of the goods or services or both, or input service used in making the zero rated supply, or a refund of the tax on the supply of the goods regarded as deemed export or refund of ITC. So that we will discuss. Now, let me start with the section 54, subsection 1, which says that any person, what is the word they've used? Any person claiming the refund of tax and interest. So first question, it is being answered by the first word that for taking the refund, there is no requirement to be registered person. In other word, I can say if someone is entitled to take the refund as per section 54, then he can claim the refund even though he is unregistered person. How to claim the same? I will discuss in the subsequent slides. So any person claiming the refund of tax or interest, if any paid on tax or any other amount paid by him, make an application before the expiry of 2 years from the relevant date. What is the time limit for refund? 2 years. But 2 years would be counted from which date? Relevant date. Now the relevant date is different in case to case basis. Can you give me any one example of the relevant date of any category? Any one example of the relevant date? कोई भी एक example. You can give for goods, export of the goods, deemed export, merchant, not merchant, inverted duty, zero rated, service, whatever you like to. Any one example I expect from you. No, no problem. So that we will discuss. There is a slides that we will discuss what is the meaning of relevant date, like for export of the goods, the date when the goods leaves India. Okay. In case of the deemed export, the due date of the return for which I am filing the refund. From that, 2 years would be counted. Now the proviso says that you can claim the refund of any balance in the electronic cash ledger. You can claim the refund of any balance in the cash ledger in accordance with the provisions, may claim the refund in such form, such manner as may be prescribed. Now, whether 2 years would be applicable in case of the refund of cash ledger, because it is written in the proviso. So prima facie, what is the meaning of the proviso? What is the meaning of the proviso? That exception to the above provision. It means whatever the restriction is there in this case, is in the above cases, will not be applicable to the proviso. That is the normal understanding. So if it is written in the proviso, means it is exception to the above provision, and then it is not applicable to the proviso. So because they've not used the 2 year in the proviso, therefore there is a clear understanding 2 year not applicable. But again, there is a problem practically. So finally, they've clarified by Circular 166 that 2 year cut time limit would not be applicable if you like to take the refund of cash ledger. This is the screenshot of the GST portal wherein they have created 3 categories for unregistered person. An unregistered person can take the following 3 categories of the transaction, can do the or can undertake the 3 transactions on the GST portal, even he is not registered. What is that? He can claim the refund, advance ruling, and supply through e-commerce operator. That is not our chapter, but yes, they need to obtain the temporary ID and they need to claim the refund. Now, in this case, you tell me in which case the refund of accumulated ITC would be available. Now we are moving to the refund of accumulated ITC. So example situation, I'm giving you 5 situations. You just tell me yes, no, yes, no. A has purchased the goods and huge ITC, but there is no sale in the entire financial year. So there is a huge accumulated ITC. Whether he is entitled to take the refund of accumulated ITC, say yes or no. I'm requesting everyone. The answer is, what about all the participants? I'm requesting everyone. Only one answer has been received. Correct. The second 2 answer has been received. Requesting everyone to give the answer. These are the very simple question which I'm asking. So answer is no. A has expired and son like to continue that business where the refund of ITC will be granted. ए एक्सपायर हो गया, उसका बेटा उसका बिजनेस कंटिन्यू करना चाहता है, क्या उसके बेटे को रिफंड मिल जाएगा? ए के पास यूज एक्यूमुलेटेड आईटीसी. आंसर इज अगेन नो. थर्ड एग्जांपल, ए हैज एक्सपायर्ड एंड सन लाइक टू क्लोज दैट बिजनेस वेयर द रिफंड ऑफ आईटीसी ऑफ इलेक्ट्रॉनिक क्रेडिट लेजर अवेलेबल इन द मिस्टर ए वुड बी अवेलेबल. इसमें in the third case you are saying yes. Okay, we'll analyze. In fourth case, A has surrendered the GST number and used ITC, whether refund of ITC will be granted. The answer is okay. You are saying no. ठीक है. So fifth, XYZ Limited has merged with the PQR Limited, whether PQR able to take the refund of accumulated ITC in the XYZ GSTI. Okay. So now, fine. Thank you very much for your participation. Now, what is the answer? In none of the case, refund of ITC would be granted. In none of the case, refund of ITC would be granted. Why I am saying so? Because why I have given the example so that you always remember that ITC ka refund is permitted in two scenarios only. Always remember, ITC ka refund is permitted in two scenarios only. Scenario number one, if it is zero rated supply. Zero rated means export and search for authorized operation. And second category is if it is inverted duty. Remember, first category is if you are making the zero rated supply. And if you are making the zero rated supplies, then only the refund of input and input service be admissible. And second, if you are under inverted duty, what is the inverted duty? The rate of the tax on input is higher and rate of the tax on outward supply is lower. If this is the second case, then you are also entitled to take the refund of ITC, but only input. It means if you are taking the refund of ITC, the capital goods ka refund will never be permitted in case of zero rated supplies, and refund of input service and capital goods not permitted in case of inverted duty. Is that clear? (54.3) says that no refund will be given of unutilized ITC except two cases. One is zero rated supplies without payment of tax, and second is accumulated ITC of rate of the taxes on input being higher than the rate of the taxes on output supplies. What is the difference between input and input service? We know there are three terms: input, input service, and capital goods. We know the three terms: input, input service, and capital goods. हाँ सचिव बताएं.
सर आई हैड अ क्वेरी, मींस अगर इंपोर्ट है और उसमें रिफंड हम कर रहे हैं, देन व्हाट विल बी डूइंग?
If you are only importing, then you cannot take the refund.
Okay, and in import export both cases are there.
Then I can take the refund of, if I'm exporting, then it is zero rated supply. And in case of the zero rated supplies, I can take the refund. There are two routes available. What are the two routes? So if I'm exporting without payment of IGST, then I will take the refund of accumulated ITC. I can take the refund of every ITC, whether it is purchased domestically or I have purchased from outside India. That is import. So import का ITC है या डोमेस्टिक परचेज का ITC मुझे मिल जाएगा, बट वो आइटम क्या होना चाहिए? या तो इनपुट होना चाहिए या इनपुट सर्विस होना चाहिए. अगर वो कैपिटल गुड्स है तो नहीं मिलेगा. सेकंड रूट कौन सा हुआ? मैं एक्सपोर्ट कर रहा हूं ऑन IGST. यहां पर सबसे इंटरेस्टिंग पार्ट क्या है? देयर इज नो रेस्ट्रिक्शन. You can take the refund of every component: input, input service, capital goods, cash. जितने भी आपने पेमेंट किया है एक्सपोर्ट ऑफ गुड्स के लिए या एक्सपोर्ट ऑफ सर्विस के लिए, तो जो भी आईटीसी आपने यूज की है ना, भले वो किसी भी कैटेगरी को, जितना आपने टैक्स पे किया, यू विल टेक द रिफंड ऑफ एंटायर टैक्स. क्लियर?
Yes, sir. Sure. Thank you.
ओके. So that is okay. You can read in detail. So that again question, if outward supply is within, my outward supply is within India, but the supply is exempted, can I take the refund of accumulated ITC? Answer is no, because if your outward supply is exempted, then you need to reverse your ITC. And if my outward supply is exempted, but I have done the export of exempted item, can I take the refund of accumulated ITC? Answer becomes yes, because when you do the export, the time at which you export, whether it is exempted or taxable, in both the cases, it will be considered as zero rated supply. And जैसे वो zero rated बन गया, you can take the refund of accumulated ITC. 16 subsection 2 of IGST Act says that subject to 17 subsection 5, subject to 17 subsection 5 of credit of input tax may be availed for making the zero rated supplies, notwithstanding that such supply may be an exempted supply. ठीक है. There is one question to all of you. The realization of the foreign currency, whether it is mandatory before filing the refund application. For goods, yes or no. For service, yes or no. So there are 4 combination possible. Ki goods yes, service no, goods no, service yes, both no. Please tell me the right answer. Waiting for your answer. My question is, realization of the foreign currency, is it mandatory before filing the refund application? For goods, yes, no, or for service, yes, no. Now you tell me whether both yes, both no, one yes, one no. Okay, correct. The right answer has been given by Indra, and the correct answer is B. Initially, also, I told you that for treating the goods or for taking the refund, it is not mandatory. You can file the refund application. Only point, if you could not bring the foreign currency within the time limit, then you need to pay back the refund. Correct? That is the category for export of the goods. Let me go back in that definition and एक मिनट दीजिएगा मुझे. I'll open that earlier slide also, and now I can highlight that part. मैं सिर्फ आपको इतना बताना चाहता हूं. I only like to highlight this point that for export of service there is a condition. मतलब till the time you will not receive the realization in the foreign currency, your transaction would not be treated as export, because it is not export. जब तक आपको पैसा नहीं मिलता in foreign currency, then you cannot file the refund application. So if you are going for the refund of zero rated supplies, no, export of service, then it is mandatory to bring the foreign currency FIRC or BRC ka copy to be attached. It is mandatory. But for the goods, they are saying only goods should be moved from India to out of India. That is the only condition, and therefore you can take the refund immediately after the export done. If you could not ultimately bring the foreign currency for export of the goods, then just now we have discussed that you need to pay back the refund amount. तो अगर मुझे रियलाइज नहीं हुआ और मुझे रिफंड पे बैक करना है, ये तो तभी पॉसिबल होगा ना जब मैंने रिफंड लिया है. इट इज ओनली पॉसिबल ना व्हेन आई हैव टेकन द रिफंड. करेक्ट. So the correct answer is B. Any doubt you may ask. You can raise your hand, you can mute, whatever you want, but I hope it is clear. Let me move to the first refund of zero rated supplies 894 accumulated ITC. Then I will move to the refund of inverted duty. Now, in case of the zero rated supplies, which is done on the basis of LUT, you will entitled to take the refund of accumulated ITC. What is the formula? The formula says turnover of zero rated supplies of goods plus turnover of zero rated supply of the service divided by adjusted total turnover multiplied by net ITC. Very simple formula. What is the formula? You will take the turnover of goods, you will take the turnover of zero rated supply of service divided by total turnover multiplied by net ITC. Now the meaning of turnover of goods, zero rated supply of the goods, and turnover of the zero rated supply of the service are bit different. You need to understand. See, might we have raised the invoice of $100, but not necessary that 100 is considered as zero rated supply of goods ka turnover for the purpose of only formula I'm talking about. Why I am saying so? Because the explanation says, that definition says that turnover of the zero rated supplies of the goods made during the year, it will have the upper limit. एक second. Turnover of zero rated supplies of the goods means the value of the zero rated supplies of the goods during the made during the relevant period without payment of tax, or the value which is 1.5 times the value of the like goods domestically supplied by the same or similar supplier as declared by the supplier, whichever is lower. What I'm saying, the value of the zero rated supply of the goods made during the relevant period without payment of tax under bond or letter of undertaking, the value which is 1.5 times the value of the like goods domestically supplied by the same or similarly placed supplier as declared by the supplier, whichever is lower. It means now suppose you are exporting the goods in domestically at ₹100. But when you are exporting, you could be able to do the export at, let's say, ₹200 because of any competitive advantage. You have raised the invoice of 200, you are receiving the foreign currency of 200. But when you apply the refund, what is the amount that will be considered? It is only 150. Why? Because they are saying whatever the rate that you are charging in the domestic market multiplied by 1.5 times of the value of the like goods domestically supplied by the same or similar other supplier as declared by the supplier, whichever is lower. Okay. Now the turnover of zero rated supply of service. What is the turnover of zero rated supply of the service? Turnover of zero rated supply of the service means payment, see, now the turnover of zero rated supply of service is not invoice centric, it is payment centric. So might be during the tax period, I have raised the invoice for service of, let's say, $100. But against the $100, how much amount you will be considered the turnover of zero rated supplies in the formula? Turnover of zero rated supply in the formula, turnover of zero rated supply service in the formula, it is not exactly $100. It will be on the basis of payment. It means the payment which you received during the tax period in the foreign currency against the export of service. Take that amount, add those amount which you received in the earlier tax period for which you are raising the invoice currently. मतलब क्या हुआ कि जितना पेमेंट आपको मिला उतना आपने ले लिया, प्लस कर दिया पेमेंट जो पहले मिला बट इनवॉइस आप अब कर रहे हो. You minus that advance payment for which you will raise the invoice in the future. मतलब आपने क्या किया, वो इनवॉइस लिए जिनका पेमेंट एडवांस में पहले कभी आ गया था, उस पेमेंट को भी आपने लिया जो करंट टैक्स पीरियड से बिलोंग करता था, उस पेमेंट को आपने एक्सक्लूड कर दिया जो फ्यूचर से बिलोंग करता है. Is that clear? And that will be your total turnover of zero rated supply of the service. And these rule for A and for B has been removed from the definition. So you can ignore that. Now, adjusted total turnover. Adjusted total turnover means turnover in the state or UT, excluding the service. Why they have excluded the service? Because service are to be computed in accordance with this clause D. So they are saying turnover of zero rated supply of the service in terms of the clause D, and non-zero rated supply of the service in excluding the value of the exempt supply other than zero rated supplies, and turnover of the supplies in which refund is claimed under subrule 4A and 4B. That part is also being omitted. Relevant period. Now see the explanation, and then there are total 3 problems which arise. What are the explanation? Explanation says that if you are doing the export on CIF basis, then what is the value which should take? They are saying FOB value declared in the shipping bill or bill of export, or value declared on the tax invoice which is lower. It means, suppose I am doing the sale on CIF basis. What is the meaning of CIF? Cost, insurance, and freight. All 3 components are being included. So when I am exporting on CIF basis, my value of invoice, let's say 100 is FOB plus 20 rupees is shipping charges and 10 is my insurance charges. I am raising the invoice of $130, but what value will be considered for export of the goods? Only $100 FOB value which is being declared on the shipping bill. Shipping bill would have the $100 and my invoice would be of $130. So which will be considered? Whichever is lower. Now there could be the 2-3 reasons. There could be the 2-3 reasons which I will discuss. What happened by that? The actual turnover is not considered in the formula. Now, first I'm giving the example, repeating the example once again. Assume that you have the only export of goods ka turnover of 200. Correct? And there is a domestic supply of 100. What is your total turnover? Sir, 200 plus 100, 300. You will take 300 in the adjusted total turnover, G. But as per the invoice, you are having the 200 ka export sale. But as per the definition given of the zero rated supply, you will be considering only 1.5 times. That comes to 150. Question comes that you are revising the export value for the purpose of refund. Instead of 200, you are taking the 150. Now, in the bottom adjusted total turnover in the denominator, will I take complete total sale 300 or 150 plus 100, that is 250? What do you think? Key, should it be 300 or should it be 250? Give me the answer in the chat. So officer was saying we will take 300. Officer was saying we will take 300. But now, think now. See, if value of the export is being reduced in the numerator, then corresponding reduction should be there in the denominator also. Otherwise, there will be unfair practice or unfair amount of the refund to the exporter. Correct. So the same things multiple times the officer were rejecting, because if you will take the 300 here, then refund would be reduced. Refund would be reduced. And therefore they've issued the circular and they are saying you will take the 150 in the denominator, 150 plus 100, 250. So amount I have quoted to explain. Okay. But conclusion is of circular 137, 147 and 197, two circular are there. 147 says that you will take the denominator same as the value taken in the numerator. तो numerator में कितना लिया था आपने export का 150. So in the denominator you will take 150 plus if you have the domestic supply, add that. So in my example it will comes to 250. Then next circular was issued on this explanation. Same problem. What was my export? Export was 130. But what is the amount being considered for the purpose of refund? Only 100. Why 30 has been excluded? Because of the explanation. So in the numerator, if I am considering 100, that is FOB, then in the denominator, should I also consider the 100 or it will be 130? Same problem. In the field formation, some of the officers are rejecting the refund because adjusted turnover means total turnover in the state or duty. Clarification came, whatever the value you are taking in the numerator, same you will take in the denominator. That clarification was 197. Okay, just take once. I hope it is clear. So now we will go to the that is okay. Now we will go to the refund of inverted duty. Take small break. Then we will resume to the refund of inverted duty structures. Ashokji. Sir. Inverted duty refund. What is the inverted duty? Rate on input is higher than the rate on output. So now I have two problems, or I have two questions. What is the language they've used where the credit has been accumulated on account of rate on input being higher than the rate on output supply? Input, what does the input means? Only goods, only service, only capital goods, or combination thereof? Give me the answer. Only goods other than capital goods, only service, only capital goods other than input, or combination thereof. What do you think? Because this will help you in solving the practical problem. So I request everyone to give the answer. Will it be only goods other than capital goods? Will it be only service? Will it be only capital goods, or will it be combination thereof? Yes, correct answer. Yes, Geeta has given. It will be only goods other than capital goods. If you go to the definition of input, it means goods other than capital goods. Goods other than capital goods. And what about the output? Will it be only output supply the goods? Will it be only output supply the service? Or will it be both? The answer would be both. Answer would be both in this case. So it means when you compare the rate to decide whether your transaction or whether your supply is covered under inverted duty, you just see the rate on goods other than capital goods is higher than your outward supply. Whether outward supply is goods, no problem. Whether outward supply is service, no problem. Okay. It says that other than nil rated or fully exempted. It means if your output supply is exempted, nil rated, then you are not entitled. Then you are not entitled to consider the same as inverted duty and take the refund. And again, they are saying except as may be notified. So the government has the power to issue the notification to restrict some supply on which inverted duty is not there. So for goods, they've issued, for services, they've issued. So in this example, example number 1, I'm saying that input goods on material A is 5%, raw material B is 18, and your output supply, that is product C, contain the 12%. When you file the refund application, you will take the details of only B, or you will cover A and B both. We know that B has the higher tax rate, but A does not have the higher tax rate on compared to the output supply. It appears that we will apply the refund by using the details of input on B. Answer is no. Circular 125 has clarified this. They are saying that when you apply for the refund, you will give the details of all both. The formula factor the refund amount, and you are entitled to take the refund of your outward supplies related to the inverted duty only. 125 is clarified when there are multiple input attracting different rate of the taxes, then some may have lower, some may have equal, or may have the term net ITC cover ITC availed on all input. Input on A is 18, input service is 28. Both are used to produce the product C. Will it be under inverted duty? What do you think? The answer is no, because the service will not be considered only the input is being considered, and when the rate on input is higher, then only it is inverted. It is not higher, it is equal. In this example, I am doing the trading. Rate on item when I purchase was 18, and subsequently the rate is being reduced. Will it, both are taxable, both are goods and not capital goods. Will I be entitled to take the refund of inverted duty? The answer is no. Circular 135 has clarified that in case of indirectly, I'm saying, it is not written directly, but indirectly, what is meaning 135? That you should not be different tax rate at different point of time, different tax rate at same point of time. Try to understand this concept. Try to understand this concept. Different tax rate at different point of time. It means you are trader purchasing at lower rate, higher rate, and due to the reduction in the tax rate, you are selling at lower rate. So two rates are available. Input and output are at different rate, but they are at different point of time. Then it is not permitted under inverted duty. Similarly, they have covered one more situation where tax rate are different, but different point of time. No, they are same point of time. Example, there was a concession in the tax rate when I'm supplying to the medical equipment, medical manufacturing, IITs. So I am into the research business. My business is of the research or equipment. The normal tax rate is 18. But when I'm supplying then to IIT, then it is 5 as per the rate notification. Will I be entitled to take the refund? They are saying answer is yes, you are entitled to take the refund. One more example, that when I'm making the supply to the merchant exporter, then I will be charging 0.1% as per that notification. Will that also be covered under inverted duty? Answer is yes, it will also be covered under inverted duty because different tax rate, but at same point of time. If I will not covered by that notification, then I will charge the 18% only, but I'm charging to some restrictions, some conditions, some relaxation because of the notification. I'm charging differently, but at same point of time, then I am not barred from taking the refund of inverted duty. That is a very important point. Fourth example, merchant, I have already covered. Okay. That was clarified in the circular 173, same point of time. So 135 is saying that you are not allowed if you are doing the trading. So how the trading is being interpreted? Different tax rate at different point of time. No refund of inverted duty in case of trader. 173 has clarified that if you are charging because of any rate notification, then it is the different tax rate at same point of time because of any concessional notification. Therefore, you are allowed to take the refund. Then suppose I am exporter, I am exporting the goods under on payment of IGST. I have the raw material 28%, I have the raw material 18%, I am exporting at 5% on payment of IGST. When I am exporting the goods on payment of IGST, then it is automatic route. No refund application is required. You remember that one route is automatic, no requirement of refund application. Okay. So in this case, my refund of 5%, whatever I paid the taxes, it is get credited. Still, I have the accumulated ITC because my rate on A and B is much higher than rate outward rate. In that case, will I be entitled to take the ITC refund of the balance amount? Answer is no, because proviso to section 54(3) says on the same supply, if you have taken the refund of tax paid, then you cannot take the refund of ITC. So in this case, what would be the solution? If this is your client, if this is your business, then what you will suggest to do the export? how you will suggest to take the maximum advantage of refund? आपका सजेशन क्या होगा? You will continue in this manner only, or you have some different practice? Very right, Saminathan. बहुत बढ़िया. Very nice. Expecting some more answer? Right or wrong doesn't matter. In this case, you will suggest that do the export without payment of IGST under LUT or bond. So once you will do the export under LUT, then what will happen? Entire ITC would be refunded. Entire ITC would be refunded. Entire ITC, accumulated ITC would be refunded as per the formula 894. These are the category of the goods which has been restricted, like soybean oil, olive oil, etc. And these are the category of the service which has been restricted. So these are the list of the goods and same service. There is a circular there is a circular 48. There is a circular 48 which talks about whether independent fabric processor, job worker in the textile sector supplying the job work service are eligible for refund of unutilized ITC on account of the inverted under 50, even if the goods supplied are covered under the notification. So what is the biggest problem at that point of time? Now there is no problem because fabric has been omitted. So earlier they were saying we are dealing with a job work processing, fabric processing. Fabric are under the block category. Can job worker be entitled to take the refund of that item, that inverted duty? So they are saying notification 5 restrict certain goods. It is clarified that fabric processor shall be eligible for refund because if the goods supplied to them are covered under the notification, then only it is barred, otherwise not. Then rail locomotive product services, they are saying only construction services are blocked under this category. The language of the notification 15 are further changed. This is the brief background. So because the restricted notification 15 by 2017, which says that you are not entitled to take the refund if you are engaged in the construction service, construction of flat, movable property, immovable property, etc. So basically the main purpose was to block the ITC of the Schedule 2 Para 5 Clause B when I am selling the under construction flat. But what was the impact? Certain field formation are blocking the refund of composite supply work contract. Why the refund? Example, I am government work contractor. Okay, let's say I have received the contract to construct the bridge. In case of the bridges, 80-85% normally, I'm not matlab ki actually knows, but someone has told that majority part is cement. बहुत cement लगता है. So when I'm charging either 12 or 18 or sometime 5 because the rate was different. But my input was always contained 28. Will I be entitled to take the refund because I'm a work contractor? So they were denying because of the language of the notification number 15. And finally, to remove that anomaly, they have changed the language of the restriction. They are saying construction of the complex building civil part intended for sale to the buyer wholly or partly where the amount charged include the value of the land except where the entire consideration has been received. So they have exactly copy paste the language of the Para 5 Clause B. Now it is clear that if you are engaged in the Para 5 Clause B under construction service, construction service for sale of the plot, flat, not plot, flat, etc. prior to CC, then you are already getting 1/3 deduction of land, and therefore they are saying that you will not entitled to refund. Accordingly, the language has been changed. Instead of a civil structure, they have removed the language. They have changed the language. Now, this is the formula which you need to understand. What is the formula? See, prior to 5 July 2022, the formula was this much, and then they have expanded. I will explain both. Why I will explain both? Because there was a normal problem after this amendment. The people are saying, "Ki, see, first you tell me one thing. If I am taking the refund of accumulated ITC, refund of ITC because I am making the zero rated supplies, which component will be allowed input? Input service, capital goods. मुझे आप बताइए कि in this case, refund of ITC on account of the zero rated supply, which all component would be entitled for refund? Correct? Input as well as input service, both. Capital goods is not permitted. Okay. Now, let's say I am taking the refund of ITC on account of inverted duty structure, then you are absolutely correct, Geeta, that only input will be refunded. Okay. That is okay. Now, under inverted duty structure, you are entitled to take the refund of input only. That is very crystal clear. But what happened on this date when the formula was expanded because of the guideline of the Supreme Court in one of the judgment, material recycling probably. They're saying that kindly relook the formula and there is an anomaly in the formula. And after that, they have amended the formula and they have expanded the formula. Now, the question which normally being asked, when the formula was still here, there was no doubt under the inverted duty, refund would be allowed for input only. No input service, no capital goods. But when the formula was expanded, they are saying now the input service ka refund would be permitted because they've used in the denominator. You got the question? But that is not the case. In today date also, even after the amendment also, the refund would be given only for input. Then what is the meaning? I'll explain the formula in short. See, you have the turnover of 150 of inverted duty. It is a tax liability. Okay. And $150 is the tax liability. Let's say turnover of inverted dated supply of the goods is 3 crore and total turnover is 4 crore. So I can say you are making the 75% inverted duty sale and total ITC was let's say I'm doing the bifurcation. Total ITC was input 300, input service was 100 and capital goods was 200. So total ITC was 600. How much ITC I can take? The net ITC. If you see the if you see the instruction, net ITC means they are saying net I. So I have I have the calculation in front of you. Oh, detailed calculation. Sorry, ignore that example which I'm quoting. We will do the example here. Okay. Net ITC means ITC for capital goods, input service or input. No, ITC only for input. That is the net ITC. Meaning of net ITC is ITC on account of input. Correct? Now, let me do one example and then you will be able to understand. That what is the impact of this addition? Okay, that I like to explain. My turnover of inverted rated supplies is 10 lakh rupees. Turnover of other goods is 6 lakh rupees. Total turnover is 16 lakh. Now, input ka ITC is 120. Input service is 30,000. Capital goods is 50. Total ITC 2 lakh. Now, tax payable is 5%. Tax return outward supply. Because my input is 18 and my output is 5, so it is perfect example of inverted duty. You please apply in the formula and just give, I'm giving you 2 minutes, just calculate and tell me what is the maximum refund. एक बार आप इस फॉर्मूले में अप्लाई करके मुझे मैक्सिमम रिफंड बताइए ना, व्हाट विल बी द मैक्सिमम. Everyone are requested to do. Anyone has done the calculation? I'm just giving you 1 more minute because we are running short of time. So I like to cover much more things. No answer. See, maximum refund amount would be my turnover inverted data sales 10 lakh rupees. Total turnover is 16 lakh. What is the net ITC? Net ITC I will take only of input, that is 120. Okay. Minus how much tax payable on that? 10 lakh multiplied by 5%. 50,000. So earlier, I can say this part becomes 75,000. Earlier, when the formula was restricted here, I am reducing entire 50. So maximum refund would be 25,000. But now what I'm doing here, I am also tax payable, that is 50,000 multiplied by net ITC, that is 120, divided by ITC on input and input service, that is 150. By which this amount is become 40. What impact? It impact the increase in the refund. Why? Because earlier, whatever the tax liability is there on my inverted rated supplies, I am reducing the entire 50,000 from the ITC of input. That what was the anomaly noticed by the Honorable Court? They have noticed that indirectly you are saying that you can use the ITC of input for discharging the tax liability, but that is not restricted in the section 49. See, this restriction is not there. In the section 54, you are saying that you can entitle to take the refund of input. That is perfectly okay. No problem. But you cannot say that you can use the ITC of input to discharge the tax liability of inverted duty sale. No, that you can't say. Therefore, they are saying we will proportionately reduce the tax payable in the ratio of input and input service, and the balance amount will be reduced. So earlier 50,000 was reduced and now it is reducing 40,000 only. So thereby it helped to increase the amount. So by this, my PPT is completed. Let me quickly go through some of the important point. 75,000, absolutely similar. Relevant date. Relevant date, why it is important? Because we are entitled to take the refund within 2 years from the relevant date. In case of the goods exported out of India, the relevant date is the date on which ships, aircraft, or goods pass the custom frontier of India, or if it is by post, then date of the dispatch of the goods. In case of deemed export, so then in case of the deemed export, they are saying the date on which the return relating to such deemed export is furnished by the supplier. In case of the zero rated supplies the goods or services to the SEZ unit or developer, then they are saying due date of furnishing that return under section 39, that is GST 3B. In case of the service exported out of India, relevant date is date of invoice or payment, whichever is date of payment, whichever is later. Okay. Date of the, in case of the refund due to the judgment, then date of the judgment. In case of the refund of unutilized ITC, then again due date of the return. In case where the tax is paid provisionally, then date of adjustment of tax. In case of a person other than supplier, date of receipt of the goods or services. Any other case, date of the payment. Okay. Documentary evidence. So we need to attach the document. There is a master circular 125. So according to 125, we need to provide the document. So I am leaving that part, attachment of the document. I'm just going through the entire study material and try to find out if there is any important things which I left out. I will discuss. So in case the refund amount is less than or equal to 2 lakh, no declaration is required. If it is more than 2 lakh, then need to attach the CA certificate or cost accountant certificate. Why CA certificate is required? That there is no unjust enrichment. What is the unjust enrichment? See, in the refund, there is a concept of unjust enrichment. I am and see what happened. For example, I am making the sale to you and I am collecting the tax also from you. I have sold the goods of 1 crore and charge the tax of 5%, 5 lakh. I have collected from you 1 crore 5 lakh. Now I am going to the government and also taking the refund of 5 lakh. Don't you think that I have collected this 5 lakh twice? One from customer, second from government. Then it is saying that you should not be entitled to take the refund. There should not be any unjustifiable reason के कारण rich नहीं होना चाहिए. Refund would be entitled if there is no unjust enrichment. No unjust enrichment matlab I have passed on the burden of the tax. I have passed the burden of the tax to my recipient. Then it is called unjust enrichment. So in the following case, there is no requirement to obtain the certificate, nor there is requirement to declare. It will be deemed that in the following case, there will always be no unjust enrichment. If it is export, if it is unutilized ITC on zero rated supplies, and the refund of the taxes paid on a supply which is not provided. So I have made the supply and subsequently the supplies got cancelled. So I have issued the tax invoice, but there is no supply at all. Then section 77. So intra become intra. So I have paid the tax as intrastate supply, but subsequently it come to interstate supply. Then there is no unjust enrichment. So this is the declarations. That is okay. Withdrawal of the refund application, that is okay. Grant of the provisional refund. So when you file the refund application, 90% of the total refund would be given as provisional refund within 7 days. Balance 10 would be after checking the document, etc. Okay. There is a concept of see, try to understand. This is important concept. See what happened. Let's say I am applying the refund of excess payment of tax. That was a problem which has been resolved by this category, by this way. I have paid 10 crore rupees extra wrongly. Instead of let's say typing 10 lakh, I have wrongly typed 10 crore. So I paid excess tax by whatever amount. Then I am applying the refund. The refund is got sanctioned and credited in the bank account. What is the problem? The problem was that in this case, the payment of 10 crore is being made by using the 9 crore as ITC and 1 crore as cash. Suppose. Now what happened? By this route, my entire amount is credited in the bank. Meaning thereby, I have converted my ITC in the bank by using this unfair trade practice. In export, no problem. They are saying that we will give the bank in the bank account. Export, no problem. Even you are using the ITC, but you are entitled to take the refund and entire refund would be given to the bank in the bank. But in rest of the cases, they are saying a refund will be granted in the ratio in which the payment was actually made. If you have made the payment in like I've given the example 90% ITC, 10% cash. So only 10% will be credited in the bank and balance 90% will be recredited in the ITC ledger. Withholding of the refund, in some cases, the refund can be withheld by the officer, by the revenue. The rate of interest will be normally 6%. Normal if the refund is not being given in within the 60 days, and otherwise 9% if it is because of any order, judgment or decree. Principle of unjust enrichment means retention of the benefit of unjust enrichment. We have discussed already. So just I'm giving you the brief background. That's it. A refund of unutilized ITC we have discussed in detail. So I'm leaving that part. Refund of ITC under 54.3 restricted to the extent of invoice details are appearing in the GSTR 2B. Now we know that there is a mandatory condition for taking the ITC that invoice should appear in your GSTR 2B. Can you give me one example where even if the transaction is not appearing in 2B, you are entitled to claim the ITC? Can you give me one example? Even if the transaction, even if the invoice, even if the line item, if the ITC is not appearing in the 2B, but I am entitled. Any one example? Absolutely correct, Kendra. If ITC is on account of import of the goods, if ITC is on import of the goods, I am purchasing the goods from out of India, I have filed the bill of entry, but somehow it is not appearing in the 2B. Will I be restricted in the GST law? Answer is no. 16 subsection 2 clause AA, read with rule 36.4, does not create any restriction on me. And neither nil rated is specified. That is okay. So minimum refund claim 1000 rupees तक का तो refund claim नहीं दिया जाएगा. Export of the goods we have discussed. Which is the automatic route processing of the refund? That is okay. Nepal, Bhutan, refund to the government of Nepal, Bhutan. If you are exporting the goods to the Nepal or to the Bhutan, not Nepal, to the Bhutan, then a refund would be given directly to the Bhutan government. Clarification when refund claim can be preferred in respect of that I have already explained. Circular 108 in the last chapter. 96A I have already explained. That is letter of undertaking. A recovery of the refund. If I am exporting the goods, I become entitled to take the refund even though amount is not received in the foreign currency. But subsequently, if I have taken the refund and ultimately I could not bring the amount in the foreign currency as per the time limit of FEMA, in that case, I need to pay back the refund along with interest within 30 days. And whenever the amount is being realized in the foreign currency, then I can again apply for the refund. 9197 or circular, that is okay. Section 77, read with rule 89(1)(a). So I'll cover two categories more there. I will cover in short. So what is the section 77A? If I am making the supply to you, and I thought that it is an intrastate supply, so I paid C+S, CGST and SGST. Subsequently, I come to know that it is interstate supply. So I need to pay the correct tax again, IGST, and take the refund of wrong taxes, CGST and SGST. Here, 2 points important. That first is the time limit of 2 years would be counted not from the date of the wrong payment of tax, the date when you paid subsequently the correct tax. यहां से आपको 2 साल का काउंटिंग करना है. Situation number 1. Situation number 2, that interest will not be applicable in this case when you are paying IGST. Even after the means you have wrongly paid the tax C+S, but you need to pay IGST, no interest. When you are making the supply to the UN bodies, embassies, etc., they are entitled to take the refund. They need to file the RFT 10, I think. Okay. Similarly, canteen store department, CSD unit under the Ministry of Defense, they are entitled to take the refund of 50% of applicable CGST or IGST. Interest on delayed refund, that is normally 6% would be applicable and 9% would be applicable if the refund is on account of the judgment order or decree based method. So consumer welfare fund. So if the any refund which is required to be credited but not ultimately claimed, then it will be refunded. It will be credited to the consumer welfare fund. They are saying amount credited in the consumer welfare fund will be used, whatever the amount of the refund determined by order passed under section 54(5). Any income from investment as such other money received by it will be credited to the fund. Now, amount to be credited or paid to the consumer welfare fund, all amount of the duty cess, CGST, SGST, IGST, UT, GST cess, any income from investment along with other monies specified in 12C2 of the erstwhile central excise, etc., shall be credited to the fund. Okay. And any amount equal to the 50% amount of the IGST determined under 54(5) shall be deposited. Any amount equivalent to 50% of the compensation cess shall be deposited. Any amount having been credited to the consumer welfare fund payable to any claimant by an order of the proper officer shall be paid from the fund. Utilization. All sum credited to the consumer shall be utilized by the government for the welfare of the consumers in such manner the government by order constitute the standing committee who shall make the recommendation for the proper utilization. Refund of integrated tax paid on supply of the goods to the tourist living India. Now try to understand. There is a concept of section 15 which does not being fully functional till date. मतलब क्या हुआ? There is a provision in the refund. See, if any foreign tourist come into India and going outside India, going back to the out of India, leaving India, and at that time he is also taking the goods which is purchased. So there, ideally, there would be the process to take the refund at the time of clearance. When you leave India, then on the airport, there would be the process, but this process is not yet established. in the law. So the provision is there in the section, but corresponding rules, corresponding forms, corresponding mechanism is yet to be made. The IGST paid by the tourist leaving India, goods taken out of India shall be refunded in such manner as may be prescribed. The term tourist means not normally resident in India. Okay. By the registered person in implementation. So that is okay. Now let me talk about the amendment which is applicable statutory updates applicable on the refund chapter. So there is no amendment for the export import, but there is some amendment in the refund that we will discuss. Provisional refund to be granted on the basis of identification and evaluation of the risk by the system. Rule 91 sub rule 2 dealing with the grant of the provisional refund has been substituted to provide as under. The proper officer on the basis of identification and evaluation of the risk by the system shall make an order in the prescribed form sanctioning the amount of the refund due to the said applicant on a provisional basis within a period not exceeding 7 days from the date of the acknowledgement under Rule 90 sub Rule 1 या 90 sub Rule 2. The officer, for reason to be recorded in writing, may not grant refund on provisional basis and proceed with the order under Rule 92. However, said order shall not be required to be revalidated by the proper officer effective from 1 October 25. Person not allowed refund on provisional basis has been notified. Section 54 subsection 6 stipulate that proper officer may, in case of any claim for refund on account of zero rated supplies of goods or services made by the registered person other than the category of the registered person as may be notified by the government, refund 90% in such manner, such condition, and order 54.5 for final settlement. In exercise of the power confirmed by 54.6, the central government, on recommendation of the council, notify the following person not be allowed on provisional basis. Any person who has not undergone Aadhaar authentication as per Rule 10B. Any person who is engaged in the supply of pan masala, tobacco, essential oil, etc. These are the two points which is an amendment statute update. So from my side, everything is completed. If you have any question, you please ask. Otherwise, give me 1 minute only. Give me 1 minute only. I'll start quick round of the question answer. Any question? No. Let me start quick round. Let me start the quick round of the question answer. Export of the goods. How many conditions are there for export of the goods? कितनी condition है for export of goods? मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा all participant please give the answer. Very right. Export of the goods, how many conditions are there? Export of the goods, how many conditions are there? The answer is only one condition. That is from India to out of India. That's it. The amount should be in case of export of the goods, can I apply the refund even prior to realization in the foreign currency? Even prior to the realization of the foreign currency? Answer is yes. Answer is yes. In case of the service, I cannot apply the refund jab tak I am not receiving the foreign currency, because I need to attach the FIRC or BRC. I need to attach the FIRC or BRC. What is the time limit to take the refund? What is the time limit to take the refund? कितने साल में रिफंड लेना है मुझे? How much time is permitted from the relevant date? How much year is permitted to take the refund from the relevant date? Answer is 2 years from the relevant date. 2 years from the relevant date. If I am taking the refund of, let's say, inverted duty, I am entitled to take the refund of input service, or capital goods. Which component I am allowed to take the refund under inverted duty? Input only, neither input service nor capital goods. Neither input service nor capital goods. Which refund is automated and I am not required to file the refund application? कौन सा कैटेगरी ऑफ द रिफंड इज ऑटोमेटेड एंड नॉट रिक्वायर्ड टू फाइल द रिफंड एप्लीकेशन? Which type of the refund is automated and does not require filing of refund application? That is export on payment of IGST. Export on payment of IGST, and reason, because shipping bill would be matched with the GSTR1 and then refund would be processed. If I am furnishing the letter of undertaking, then it is the undertaking that I will do the export within the time limit. If I will not do the export, or if I will not bring the currency in case of service, then I will make the payment within how many days? I will make the payment within how many days? Answer is 15 days, 15, 15 days. Answer is 15 days, 15. So what is the deemed export? Can you give me any one example of the deemed export? Can you give me one example of the deemed export? Only one example of the deemed export. Right, Geeta. Absolutely correct. Indra, you are also right. So export oriented unit, advance authorization, EPCG license, supply the gold by bank or PSU against advance authorization. Can the deemed export be made on under LUT? Can the supply of the deemed export be made under LUT? LUT का रूट ऑप्ट कर सकता हूं मैं डीम्ड एक्सपोर्ट के लिए? आंसर इज नो. Answer is no. See, inverted duty refund would be permitted when the rate of the tax on which component is higher than the rate of the tax on outward supply? Input service, capital goods. Only input. Absolutely correct. Only input. Rate on the input should be higher than the rate on outward supplies. If Mr. A was doing the business and has expired his son like to close the business, can he be entitled to take the refund of ITC? Can he be entitled to take the refund of ITC? Answer is no. Samyanathan, Geeta, and Indra both all are correct. All are correct. Which two category is permitted for refund of ITC? Which two category of refund is the refund is permitted in case of ITC? का refund किस केस में allowed है? Refund of ITC किस केस में allowed है? दो category बताएं. So, right, Geeta, zero rated supplies, and second is, yes, Indra, inverted duty. So, word export is included in the word zero rated itself. So, there is no, if you are writing the word zero rated, the word export is already included. So, now the zero rated is two component. Can you tell me the zero rated supply means export and, can you tell me the zero rated supply means export and supply to the SEZ unit and developer against advance authorization. That word is important. Very rightly, I correct. Everyone are correct. Indra, Geeta, Sachi, Asthana, and Saminathan. Everyone is correct. Now, if I am operating the business as branch office of the foreign company, and if I am raising the invoice, will it be export? Branch invoice raised to its foreign company, will it be treated as export? I am doing the business as a branch, agency, or representative office. Will my transaction be considered as export? Very right, Saminathan. Very right. Requesting other to reply. Will my transaction be considered as export? Okay. Second question I'm asking, if I'm the subsidiary company of holding company and subsidiary company is located in India and raising the invoice to the holding company, will it be treated as export or not? I have asked the two questions. So if I'm working as a branch agency representative, will it be export? Or if I'm working as a subsidiary company, will that be export? Correct. Absolutely correct. Both questions being correctly answered by Samyanathan. So first one is not export. Second one is export. Why second one is export? First one is not export. See, second one, see, subsidiary company and holding company are to be treated as a separate person, not the establishment of distinct person, clarified by circular 161. Okay. And then first thing, they are covered in the explanation to the section 8 distinct person, and the fifth condition could not fulfill, and therefore it is not treated as export. Absolutely correct. So if I'm doing the export on CIF basis and I am declaring, I have to declare the FOB value on the shipping bill. So when I'm applying the refund, whether FOB value will be considered or invoice value will be considered for the purpose of turnover. The answer is FOB, whichever is lower. Okay. Now, when I am using the numerator with FOB, what about the denominator? Will I use the same FOB also, or will I have to take the invoice value? Will I have to take the same which I have taken in the numerator, or I have to take always invoice value? The answer is correct. The answer is whatever you have taken in the numerator, same value you will take in the denominator plus other if there is any other transactions. See, In case of the turnover of zero rated supplies of the goods, we are having the upper cap of the domestic price. What is the upper cap? How much time it can be? Upper cap of how much time? Absolutely correct, Samanathan. Upper cap of how much times of the domestic price? Can you give me any one example where the refund on provisional basis would not be granted? We have discussed in the latest amendment, the refund would not be granted on provisional basis in two cases. First and second, can you give me any one or two example, any one or two situations जहां पे आपको provisional refund नहीं मिलेगा? Correct, Geeta, pan masala, tobacco, etc. And one is Aadhaar authentication. If I have not done the Aadhaar authentication, then my refund would not be granted. Correct. What is the tax rate applicable in the merchant export? What is the tax rate applicable in case of merchant exporter if I'm making the supply to the merchant exporter? The right answer is 0.1%. 0.1%. Absolutely correct. 2-year time limit is applicable if I'm taking the refund of electronic cash ledger. Whether 2-year time limit is applicable if I'm taking the refund of electronic cash ledger? No. No. When I would require the CA certificate if the refund amount is more than? When I need the CA certificate if the refund amount is more than 2 lakhs. Absolutely correct. Geeta, Saminathan, Indra, everyone is giving the prompt answer, and Asthana also. All are giving the correct answer, and Max. Good part is that you are participating in the discussion. That's excellent. Can you tell me which category of refund not attract the interest? Even if I'm depositing late, but it will be without interest. In which category deposition of tax late also not attract the interest? Correct. Geeta has given the correct answer. Section 77. Section 77. Intra become inter or inter become intra does not attract the interest. If the refund is due on account of the judgment, appellate authority, etc., then rate of the interest would be 6 or 9. Rate, the interest on the delayed payment would be how much if it is by the appellate authority? If it is by the appellate authority, then if it is by appellate authority, then it is 9%, otherwise 6%. Absolutely correct. Now, the last question for the day. If I'm sending the goods out of India for exhibition, promotion, export promotion, will it be zero rated supply? If I'm sending the goods out of India for exhibition purpose, will it be zero rated supplies? The answer is no, it is not zero rated supply because it is not a supply at all, and hence it cannot be zero rated as well because it is without consideration. Very nice. Right, Saminathan. Right, Saminathan. So, in case of 9 subsection 5 or 5 subsection 5, we are saying that if you are make the supply through e-commerce operator, then e-commerce operator would be liable to pay tax. In this case, I told you one homework or of which Geeta has confirmed in the class itself. I'm asking the question, if supplier is body corporate, then the transaction would not come under 9.5. What is that transaction? If supplier is body corporate, then only the transaction will not fall in 9.5. Had it be other than body corporate, it will be covered under 9.5. What was that transaction? कौन सा ऐसा ट्रांजेक्शन है जो 9.5 में नॉर्मली फॉल करता है, बट इफ द सप्लायर इज बॉडी कॉर्पोरेट देन इट विल नॉट फॉल इन द 9.5 और 5.5? The answer is omnibus by body corporate. Omnibus by body corporate through ECU. Correct, Saminathan. Correct, Geeta. Everyone. So by this, I have completed my class today. If you have any doubt, we have the one more class, and on the Friday, we'll discuss over there. Thank you so much. Goodbye to all of you. Session over. Thank you.